In case you've been living under a rock since 2009, this is Minecraft. A game I'm sure you've played because not only is Minecraft one of the largest selling computer games of all time, selling just over 33 million copies as of 2026, it is also the best selling video game of all time, selling a total of 345 million copies across all platforms and grossing just shy of $4.5 billion as of this year. Which is pretty cool, but it's also not what we're talking about today. Today I'll be attempting to answer the question, how much weight can Steve carry? Oh, right. For the people who don't play Minecraft, this is Steve. Not that Steve, this Steve. The key to answering our question. But how, you may ask? Well, for starters, according to the company Mojang, the people who created Minecraft, Steve is 6 foot 1 inch / 73 inches, or just under 2 blocks tall. And as we can see, 2 blocks is 32 pixels, and Steve is 30 pixels tall. So, if we divide Steve's canonical height of 73 inches by 30 pixels, we get 2.43 inches for every 1 pixel. And if we multiply that by 16 pixels, we get 3.25 feet, which is the side length of 1 block, which we can then apply to a netherite block. Why specifically netherite? Because I've determined netherite to be Minecraft's densest material. And here's how I know. For starters, let's take a look at how netherite is made. For starters, you will need 4 golden ingots, 4 ancient debris, and a crafting table, which should give you 1 netherite ingot. And with that, we now have 2 things that have defined densities in the real world: gold and ancient debris. Now some of you are probably saying, ancient debris? That doesn't exist in real life, right? Well, this is when we use something I like to call an educated assumption. There is no exact real-life equivalent to ancient debris, but there are many elements with very similar characteristics to ancient debris, such as lava resistance, extreme durability, and a rocky texture and look when first mined. And after a bit of digging, I found an element that meets all 3 of the criteria: tungsten. It's lava resistant with a boiling point higher than almost any other element on the periodic table, it's extremely durable, and has a rocky look similar to ancient debris when first mined. With that information, we can now come back to our netherite block. What we'll do now is cut it into 9 pieces, just like the 9 ingots it takes to craft a netherite block. To do this mathematically, we'll have to use the formula length times width times height to find the volume. Once we found the volume of the netherite block, we can then divide that by 9 to find the volume of a netherite ingot. Once we found the volume of the netherite ingot, we can then divide that by 8 to find the volume of each item in its crafting recipe. Now that we have this info, we can look at the real-life density of both gold and tungsten, ancient debris. And with that info, we can divide the density by the volume to get the weight of 1 gold bar and 1 ancient debris. We can now add these 2 numbers together and multiply them by 4 to account for the ingredients in the crafting recipe, which gives us a total of 4,644 pounds, which is the weight of 1 netherite ingot. We can now multiply that by the 9 ingots in 1 block to give us a total of 41,796 pounds is the weight of 1 netherite block. And with that, I'm now going to have to explain something called stacking. In Minecraft, you can only carry about 64 blocks per inventory slot, which is often referred to as a stack. To simplify things, I will also be calling this a stack, and we will also be determining the weight of 1 stack. To do this, we'll multiply the weight of 1 netherite block by 64 to give us a total of 2,674,944 pounds per stack. Now we can take a look at Steve's inventory, which has 36 slots, each capable of carrying 64 blocks. So you'd probably think we just have to multiply the weight of 1 stack by 36, right? Wrong. We now have to factor in something in Minecraft called a shulker box. A couple of its most notable attributes include 27 inventory slots, each slot can hold about 64 blocks, shulkers cannot be stacked in the inventory, and they keep all the items they hold even when mined and put in the inventory. So if we had a full shulker with about 27 stacks of netherite, we could then take the weight of 1 stack and multiply that by 27 to get a total of about 72,223,488 pounds. Now if each inventory slot had a full shulker in it, we could then multiply the amount of 1 shulker by 36 inventory slots to get 2,600,045,568, or about 1,300,022 metric tons. But it gets heavier. Remember how I said Steve had 36 inventory slots? I lied. He has 4 more slots for armor. And in Minecraft there is netherite armor. However, it's a little different than other armors. The way most armors work is you take whatever item you're going to make your armor out of and put it in the same array inside the crafting table, just like this. But netherite is different because in order to make it, you must first have diamond armor and put it inside of a smithing table alongside netherite ingots to get a full set of netherite armor. So to be thorough, we're actually going to have to calculate the weight of a full diamond set plus the weight of the ingots. Now to do this, we're going to take the volume from the gold that we used earlier and apply it to the diamond. We can then take the real world density of a diamond, which is 219 pounds per cubic foot, and divide that by the 0.48 cubic feet to give us about 105.12 pounds per diamond. Looking at a set of full diamond armor, we can see that it has 24 diamonds total. So we can then take the weight of one diamond and multiply it by the 24 to give us a total of about 2,522.8 pounds for a full diamond armor set. Now, in order to make netherite, we have to add 1 ingot to each piece of armor to get a full set of netherite. So now if we take a full diamond armor set and add the 4 netherite ingots, we get a total weight of about 21,098.88 pounds, which is full netherite armor. But we're still not done, and we can go even heavier after the introduction of armor trims, something that serves literally no purpose other than to make my job harder and make your armor look cooler. Now let me explain how they work. First, you're going to need a smithing table, and in the smithing table, you'll then put your armor trim along with your armor itself and a mineral of your choice, giving you one pretty cool set of armor. Now to answer our question, we're actually going to replace the diamond I used in the example with netherite because it's more dense, therefore it adds more weight, which we can then calculate mathematically by seeing that each piece of armor needs about 1 netherite ingot in order to have trim. So we can then take the weight of full netherite armor and add 18,576 pounds, which is 4 netherite ingots, to get a total of 39,674 pounds, which is full netherite armor with trim. Now finally, we can take the weight of all the armor and add it to the weight of all the blocks to get a grand total of 2,600,085,242 pounds. Damn. Steve's jacked.